Awede. Welcome to Born Extinct, my journey into acknowledgement of my ancestors and authentic spiritual self. My name is Attaqua, and I was born extinct. The ancient Klein Karoo was originally called Kannaland after the plant species Scaletium, a close relative of the hallucinogenic cocaine. It is known by indigenous people as Kanna or kauhut. The dried or fermented leaf is still chewed by indigenous people. It gives them a heightened sense of consciousness. But just like everything else, even kanna has been appropriated and is available all over the country, over the counter in retail shops. The Karoo is an area of 23,500 square kilometers. Its name was changed to Karoo by the settler. Karoo means great dry land or land of great thirst. It was called Karoo before the settler arrived. Close to 3,200 species of plants are found there. Most of it is indigenous to Karoo. More than 400 of these species are used for their medicinal properties and for the cultural practices of indigenous people. The Karoo is now part of an area called the Garden Route Klein Karoo. The Swartberge mountain complex has been declared a World Heritage Site. There's now a call to return to the original names. Few of the names survived the cultural genocide, but those had their spellings and meanings colonized. The Karoo holds histories of stories of people who lived in the terrain tens of thousands of years ago. The Klein Karoo is home to the Attaqua and other nations. The Attaqua geographical territory covers a vast area of the Klein Karoo, areas between Ladysmith and Uniondale. The Attaqua and Kannaland cultural areas include Calitzdorp, De Rust, Duiseldorp, Maatjiesrivier, Schoemanshoek, Spyskamp, Vlakteplaas, Voormoed, Waaikrai, and Zhuang. Original names for these places have great significance and represents the environment and the lifestyle of the original inhabitants. Oudtshoorn was called Attaqua before colonization. Attaqua means trading people in Kwekwegwab. Atta means trade and Kwa means people. The Attaqua were also known as the people with the light-colored skin. The Attaqua kloof was used by elephants before it became a main route between 1689 and 1869, linking Mossel Bay to Kannaland. The first settlers to pass through the Attaqua Pass, now called the N1, were representative of the corrupt Simon van der Stel, who had already stolen 1/5 of the land in the Cape for himself and his sons. This expedition of 21 men was led by Ensign Isaac Scribwa in January 1689. It took him 7 days to cross the path. During the 18th century, the pass was also used by tax evading, brandly smuggling to get wool and ostrich feathers to the coast. The arrival of the Dutch-German colonizer on the indigenous Attaqua land laid out a period of extreme suffering and deliberate impoverishment and Christian-style classification of my people. The arrival of the settler in the Attaqua territory led to the destruction of koi kraals, the abduction of women and children, and the theft of huge amounts of livestock. Indigenous women bore the brunt of colonial violence more than any other group. Between 1802 and 1898, 340 lone farms and the people on them have been stolen, indentured, and enslaved. An additional 5,026 morgen and close to 10,000 acres of land was allocated. These settlers were followed by a group of 200 German separatists who arrived in our kraal, Kraal, which they renamed Zuar in 1817. After the mention in the First Testament of the Bible, Genesis. This was a dry but fertile part of Kannaland where the Swartberge, Langeberge and the Attaqua Berge meet. The settler blocked and rerouted the rivers and streams to form man-made dams, cutting off the water supply to small villages surrounding the mountains, causing ecological damage and changes. This area boasts the most spectacular rock formations as well as numerous rock art sites, several waterfalls and rivers, and an abundance of animals. Ostrich eggs were once one of the most important sources of nutrition since the Khoi didn't kill their livestock for food. For tens of thousands of years, the Khoi and San ate from ostriches. They ate their meat, they collected eggs for food, containers for water, made jewelry from the abundance of ostrich eggs. The indigenous farmers planted sorghum, millet and vegetables. The Kango Caves on Attaqua land delivers high tourism revenues to local government and the newly arrived settler. When the settler arrived, they trapped the ostrich behind fences. When Jewish people arrived, they hunted and herded ostriches mercilessly for their feathers, for the export market, causing huge hunger and malnutrition. Ostriches. Oudtshoorn was known as Little Jerusalem between 1875 and 1914. By 1938, there were 1,778 settlers and 804 imported enslaved people on Attaqua land. The Land Act of 1930 stripped the Attaqua completely of their land. When the 1713 smallpox epidemic pushed the Khoi into Attaqua territory, colonials received Attaqua kraals as lone farms in the Kango Valley and Mikey's River. By 1802, 92 Attaqua kraals were allocated to the settler, and the history of Khoi presence in the area was erased except for the immovable Khoi cave art. When the British invaded the Cape in 1806, 112 more kraals were allocated to the settler. The arrival of the settler and their unethical and unsustainable hunting methods depleted the ancient and indigenous water sources and grazing lands. The establishment of the Droste at George in 1813, after they invaded the territory, which included areas of both the Outeniqua, Hessequa, and the Korana. In those days, we were known as the Agterberge mense. The Attaqua kept herds of tens of thousands of animals, including fat-tailed sheep, goats and oxen, managed by complex matriarchal and social structures. Everything was appropriated when the settler arrived. The low-maintenance indigenous Boerbok, with its gentle temperament and its affectionate nature, had been bred by the Attaqua for centuries before colonization. The Attaqua was dispossessed of their land. They were pushed into township developments and rural municipal districts. Attaqua land now boasts several nature reserves, including Tankwa Nature Reserve in Calvinia, Swartberge Nature Reserve, pass between Oudtshoorn and Prince Albert, better known as Die Hel, Sanbona Wildlife Reserve close to Barrydale, Gamka Berg Reserve close to Zuar, and Anais Nature Reserve close to Laingsburg. These reserves have some of the most iconic South African animals, including mountain zebra, kudu, eland, baboons, elephant, buffalo, leopards, rhino, lion, gemsbok, brown hyena, and aardwolf. Most have been hunted into extinction. They also lost access to the cultural and spiritual heritage site. The Attaqua own no land for agricultural purposes or farmland anymore. Most of our land is now the ownership of the settler. Kai gangangs for your time. Join me next week for part 20 of my story, where I pay tribute to my 81-year-old mother who juggled the modern world of District 6 and the ancient world of our ancestors, colonization and apartheid, with 5 children. Cape of Storms, Table Bay, Falls Bay, Cape of Good Hope. Settler, it was not yours to take. I am Attaqua, and I was born extinct.